Looking back, how do you think the experience of going to an all-boys school has affected your life?
For me, it was probably a good thing. You know, excuse me. I was sort of a scholastic underachiever, and I think if I'd been in a co-ed school, it would have been disastrous, frankly. And also, there was something kind of fabulous about, I went to a boys' school here on the Alan Stevenson, a boys' school on the east side, Upper East Side, and it's those, the girls from Brearley and Nightingale Banford and Miss Hewitt's school. They were like these fabulous creatures that you could see kind of like watching the herds going across the savannah. Wild Kingdom, episodes of Wild Kingdom on television. There they go, and then there'd be dances. You could, date them and all that and find girls that you could date and you liked and you had an affinity with, but it was hard because it all had to be worked out, So I didn't have a problem with it. Some people have done it and hated it. It was all I knew. But I was able to stay focused. However, all my children have gone to co-ed schools. And watching them grow up and have the kind of relationships with women that I didn't have because women were so exotic and such a different species to me being in a boys' school. It's wonderful to have seen my two sons. I have one 34 and one who's just about to turn 14. To see them in school developing friendships and different kinds of intimacies with females that for me it was just not, and there weren't a lot of girls. I knew actresses, but all the different kinds of relationships you can have with young people of the opposite sex, and a sense of community that's involved with more than one gender. I think it's probably all in all a better way to do it. I think it's better to have co-education. I was fine with what I had, but I think they have a leg up on how to function socially and how to talk to women. It's like,
In the past, you have worked on several different adaptations of Stephen King's books and short stories. What is it that draws you to Stephen King's work?
Money. No, they were good commercial adventures that I was asked to be in. It was a gas because I've never been much of a Stephen King fan, frankly. But they sent me the script and I read the book after they asked me to do it, and I did it. It didn't really come from my affinity for King. It just came career-wise. And so many of my friends were in there. John Ritter was a good friend of mine. Annette O'Toole was a good friend of mine. Richard Mazur was a good friend of mine. Dennis Christopher and I had made a movie together. We were playing friends, but we basically were all friends. So it was wonderful chemistry. And it was very cool. I'd never done a horror picture like that. So it was very interesting to sort of be a part of that process, with eyeballs walking around on the table and stuff like that, faucets running blood. Cool. Then they asked me to do this Nightmares and Dreamscapes story about 3 years ago, which I did, which is a Stephen King short story based on an episode of the Alfred Hitchcock show. He wrote a story based on an episode of a Hitchcock television series episode. And again, it was a trip to Australia. It was a fun. I loved the script. I loved what it was about, and it just came my way. It didn't really come from a particular affinity with the material. Although I think he's masterful storyteller and a great, master, obviously, of terror, and also writes well about childhood. I think about relationships and the fears and joys of childhood. I think he's very, very good about that. So that's how those two things came along. I was really proud of it too. A lot of people saw that and a lot of people liked it. I thought the ending was not very good, but I didn't think the ending of the book was very good either. So.